Hey,
Hey,
Squid, that means you're live. The Opus Squid is the Opus Squid. I swear that they're gonna make that their mascot after my streams. I swear. It's out of control. All right, guys, it's Mando Monday. We were already in the backstage. I tried not to give anything away because Dan came in. He's like, "This is what I think," and I'm like, "Nope, no, I'm saving it for the stream.
Quiet.
I'm not doing it."
fired up.
But yeah, we're gonna fire it up now. Screw it. Let's go. So Dan was saying, what were you saying, Dan?
I was saying that we all feel a certain type of way about that bus driving, purple amethyst wielding blade bitch. But now I'm on that Kellerman Beck wave, man. You know, Mace Windu can be in the grave for all I care. Bring back Kellerman. Yo.
Well,
Since
we're
on my dog Kellerman Beck and his twin brother from Attack of the Clones. Bring in the Beck family. I'm Kellerman Beck all day. Let's go.
You mean Jar Jar?
I'm of the school that I want to see those two on screen at the same time.
Who, Kellerman and Jar Jar, or his brother?
No, Jar Jar.
Kelleran and Jar Jar.
That's Jar Jar's shit.
Yeah.
Like let's just call a spade. That's Jar Jar's shit, right? He's a senator from Naboo. He's got his own.
Come out of hyperspace in Naboo, please.
Right? So they're going to come out of hyperspace in Naboo, right? I mean, that's either that or Jar Jar is going to be somewhere like with one of his old friends. You know, who is the queen? The queen that he was good friends with.
Shorty, yeah.
So I mean,
starts with the A or something.
Yeah. Go see his shorty and take Grogu there, and we don't know. But for me, for my money, that ship is 100% Nubian. Nubian, very awesome Nubian, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we know that ship is going either that's Bail, right? But Bail wasn't Nubian. He was just at school. So it's not Bail, right? It's Jar Jar.
I'm about to say Bail was at the temple that night too.
It's Bail that helped get the younglings out, as many as he could, because he watched some younglings get got on the front steps. So either he made a phone call to some friends, he phoned a friend, but it's Jar Jar's ship or the current queen of Naboo or Padme. Those are the only really three Nubian ships that are out there, right? Because that's made for high class royalty, senators, and such. So
facts.
There's only two ships it could be: the current queen, which would be really weird, or it's Jar Jar. That's Jar Jar's senatorial ship.
The only way I can see it being Padme is if you squeeze in the subplot between whatever she was doing before she got to Mustafar and whenever she was crying in Anakin's arms.
She was in her apartment, though.
It's possible Bail told her about it and she sent somebody and that's how the ship got there. Or maybe the ship was just a coincidence, but I don't think it was. I think it was sent by either Jar Jar or
when there's Nubian guards.
You would have to sneak in the legal plot too for that to work. So it's probably not her.
Well, and she takes her ship with her, so her ship can't go to Naboo and then get back and then go.
I'm not saying it is Padme, but I heard a theory that it could have been her maiden or handmaiden. I forget her name because she's in a lot of the books and she's literally like
Sabe.
Yes, it could be Sabe that sent the ship.
Keira Knightley. I mean,
and you can bring back Natalie Portman as the other handmaidens too.
I'm just saying.
I'm
just saying.
Look,
Jar Jar though,
I think Padme's position in all this is pretty well set, right? We know she's at the apartment, then they get in her ship, and then they go to Mustafar, and then she, gets the kids, and then boom, she's dead. But Jar Jar's story, like, there's still room there, right? And they don't necessarily have to follow. Dave has done it a lot of times already, where he has decided this is awful. He's decided that. Thank you. We got to switch. All right. I read my words and I was like, why are my words back? Oh, smearing.
But they do that thing to me again too. Why they do that on that?
So for me, it's like there's so much room to continue a Jar Jar story, and he doesn't have to follow the comic or the written word, if you will, that's already out there. Dave has changed comics. He changed Kanan's backstory when we saw it Bad Batch, right? I mean,
He doesn't care about paper at all. It
he
seems
doesn't care
like.
about the paper. He is
He's
like
paperless.
Listen now.
he's in the 21st
Relax.
century, right? He's all digital. Forget about it.
Okay, obviously
Dave
that's
doesn't
not
want
fully
this.
true because he does bring in things like Cobb
not.
Vanth and
It's not.
you know
But I'm
that.
saying,
But to expand on what Jar Jar's up to would be really cool because they do touch on it in the book.
but I'm saying
Yeah,
if
Yeah, they do.
follow a
he's a
book,
circus clown.
we could see Jar
Yeah.
Jar. We could see Jar Jar do a number of different things, right? It's not set what his story is at this point because we never see him in live action. We never see him in animation after the Clone Wars. So there's room there to play with the story the way that Dave Filoni does, right? I mean, he does
Definitely.
if it's not in live action already or in animation, he's like, that's fair play.
I mean, Dave is
Yeah.
working on another new show, Adventures of Grogu and Calvin Beck. Anyone?
Hey, I'm here for it.
Yes,
It just seems like this could be an interesting way for maybe Jar Jar to, not necessarily sell his worldly possessions, but maybe use the influence and wealth of his people to secure Jar Jar's or to secure Grogu's safety, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
So I'm not staying super long today, but I do have a crazy theory that maybe Jar Jar sent the ship and sent Kelleran Beck to go get Grogu or get some of the younglings. I don't know how he would have known him exactly, but I think it's possible that Jar Jar tries to kind of redeem himself for putting Palpatine into power, and we get kind of a story where he tries to save younglings and do what he can for the Jedi after making that mistake, and then ends up getting kicked out of the Senate, and that's how he ends up becoming a clown in the Aftermath novels on Naboo, because he kind of just gets
Right.
kicked out and left for dead, or left for dead, whatever you want to say, and then kind of becomes a joke to the Naboo people, where he's just kind of a clown at that point.
right, but that's what I'm saying. The written word doesn't mean much. Kanan had a completely different backstory before we saw it in Bad Batch, right? It's not.
It depends on the story.
Right. And I think this is an opportunity for him to expand on that and not necessarily, he doesn't necessarily have to become a clown, right? That's
True.
That's not something that has to happen, right? He could die.
Oh, don't you dare.
He could sacrifice himself for Grogu and we don't really know.
I think the planet he was on is
I would rather see
targeted
Jar Jar
by the
become-
First Order.
Well, I
Well-
mean, and a step further, I mean,
So
it wasn't
yeah.
written anywhere that Jar Jar was helping younglings get off with his senatorial ship. I mean, it's already taking a different timeline.
I would
So-
rather see Jar Jar become a Jedi.
Did you say helping younglings get off with his senatorial ship?
Sure.
Oh, fuck.
Sure.
One word too.
One word too many. It's a mouthful. Yeah, there you go. So, but yeah, I mean, look, it's already changed the story. It's already changed the story of Jar Jar, right? It's already putting him in a different
That's the thing, though. Does it have to even change it? Like, we could just get more context to fill in the gaps of how he gets to being a clown. You know what I mean?
I want it. I still think this needs to be a thing. I think what if Jar Jar was the one who took him and put him in darkness, and then that's been the slope.
Oh, Darth Jar Jar.
Yeah, I'm with it. So don't tell him no. I'm with it. I've always wanted that yellow-eyed Gungan to be a Sith. I'm sorry, like I said,
Mr. Big, you stand big to do this time.
if they can play with all of these other story arcs,
Mm-hmm.
and if Palpatine could hide his Sith presence from all of the Master Jedi, I'm sorry, I could roll with some Jar Jar. Let's do it.
What does chat want? What do you guys want, man? You guys want to see some Darth Jar Jar, or do you want to see him circusing around Naboo, or do you want to see him be a janitor at Cal Safe Haven? What do you guys want? What's it?
So yeah, the revenge.
I
Of
don't
Bacon.
even
Love it. I love all of this.
I don't even know if we need to see him as a clown per se, but I would love to just see him in the flashbacks kind of standing up for, clones and Grogu and all the Jedi and everything. And then
well, because these arcs,
better.
Great segue.
Yo.
Because these two stories are happening almost simultaneously in the flashbacks for Mando and the Bad Batch, we've seen a lot of other people on Coruscant. Now, could this be a good opportunity to show Jar Jar doing this in animation and then it correlate to live action? Like, could they put enough forethought into the parallels that they could really expand on here?
Well, I think so if we're being serious about it, if you don't want to do the clown route, then what my girl is doing for the clones and fighting for clones rights, he could be fighting for Jedi rights. That's a new story. We've never seen a Martin Luther King figure fight for rights, for sensitive rights in particular. So that way he doesn't necessarily get himself killed trying to fight for a Jedi, but he could just try to fight for special children or people with special powers, something that doesn't get too much heat on him. But I could see Jar Jar doing a role like that, being like a freedom
That would be
activist.
cool.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly,
he would get shut down real quick, but it would be so cool.
Right?
What a great opportunity to show the first Inquisitor taking out Jar Jar for rescuing the younglings, right? Like, what a great. I'm sorry, look, I don't want it to happen. I'm just saying if you're going
Jar Jar, because if you take out Jar Jar, then no Darth Jar Jar.
I'm fine with that. Look, I'm accepting of any way we can have it, but I got to be careful what I say because he's down there just listening to every word, waiting for the one-liner. So,
something of every color Jar Jar.
However we get Jar Jar, I'm cool with it. I just want to see him in either live action or in animation. That's it.
But I say, if we're just getting him back, I'd rather not see his great tombstone yet. Please, let's hold that off for like another 10 years. All right, if we're getting Jar Jar, don't kill him off. No, thank you. I don't want it.
I think it would be cool if Kelleran is somehow involved in the path.
Yes,
he was the Jedi contingency plan, if you will, and this is how the path starts. I don't know. Or he runs into other Jedi that are already aware of this contingency plan.
Would it be cool to see Quinlan in live action at the end, at the finish line, instead of it being Jar Jar? Let's just say Jar Jar stays on Coruscant. It's just his ship. But what a great introduction for Quinlan.
Yeah, I think it's possible for any Jedi they've named so far.
Especially because we saw in Kenobi, we saw Quinlan's name on the path. It would be an interesting. It would just be another interesting.
Now his story all hinges on the time frame of his book with Asajj Ventress.
Since we're on the topic, who do you guys think is going to be his friends that he's bringing Grogu to?
Jar Jar.
It's definitely Jar Jar for sure.
Jar Jar.
I think I want it to be.
You got any Force sensitives? I'm kind of thinking like, what if Gunji or like some of the other Jedi younglings that we saw in Clone Wars end up being with like the friends that he's taking them to?
Jar Jar smuggled out the younglings, and specifically Gunji and his friends. And
at least Kelleran Beck did. Yeah,
the reason I think it probably won't be other Force sensitives is because he gets got. Like, it's not going to end well for Grogu. No, it's not going to end well for Grogu. Like, he's with bandits, thieves, got warrants.
No, it's not going to end well for Grogu
when we find him.
The people that he's with, Grogu's going to be fine because we see him with Mando. We know he does.
Well, but how's he end up there though in the very first episode? You know what I mean? He's not being protected by those guys.
So he's
being held hostage.
Right. You know? I'm saying it doesn't end well for the people he's surrounded with.
But that's kind of how I feel about, the correlation between and the connection between Bad Batch and Mando, right? It would be awesome to see the Bad Batch storm Mount Tantus to get Crosshair, to free other clones, to take care of this, but then to also find Grogu, right? And then we, like I said, it would be awesome to see a bounty hunter or a Sid-like character end up paying for that security, because like
Sid,
you said,
like not Sid. We don't have to.
no, but I'm saying like Sid, not necessarily Sid, but another, wealthy, somebody who's got a lot of money, maybe the people on Scarif, the Papa Island, or the Papu Island is also the Scarif planet.
That was
looks
cool.
like it.
That was a cool connection. I saw that online.
Yeah. So look, we could see potentially the Bad Batch rescuing Grogu at Mount Tantus. There's a lot of other ways that could correlate. I think it would be interesting to make the Bad Batch sacrifice correlate to how Grogu ended up being protected by mercenaries. To me, that would be an interesting way to start connecting all these dots, right? And that brings me to the next portion of the day. I saw this article and it made me very happy. So, and this is talking about Dave Filoni, and basically that he has, basically confirmed in an article that was written that all roads lead to the rise of Skywalker.
Star Wars is dead,
and that
again, they killed it again,
and that he uses the Phantom Menace as a jump point all the way through to finishing at the rise of Skywalker. Not necessarily finishing the stories, but that's in the time space they have in the middle. That's what he's working off. So we'll go through it real quick. It's just a quick.
They start exploring the beyond.
I gotta head out. Actually, peace out, everybody in the chat. Much love.
Later, dude. See ya.
bro.
Peace.
Okay, so the Mandalorian executive producer recently confirmed that the Star Wars Disney timeline he works with begins with the Phantom Menace and ends with the rise of Skywalker. Right? That was exactly what I was saying. Filoni recently discussed possible Star Wars plans spinning out of the Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and Skeleton Crew, given Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy commented back in 2020, claiming the Mandalorian and its spinoffs would culminate in a cinematic story event. So this is also going back to if Kathleen, another article I was reading said if Kathleen doesn't produce a movie by 2025, she gone, is basically the gist of the article I was reading. And I was like, well, okay. I think they should be at a cinematic point by then, but we'll see. So speaking with Drew Taylor from The Warp, Filoni said, I tend to think as we've been working on The Mandalorian and then writing Ahsoka, and then John Watt came in with Skeleton Crew, there's an entire time period that is post Return of the Jedi. And I look at that time period in which before The Force Awakens, around 30 years. So what he's saying there's a lot of time to play with during this 30-year gap, which is where we see Mandalorian happening, Skeleton Crew, and Ahsoka. So it's interesting to finally hear these guys talk about this in open forum, right? Yeah. It's not really been something that they've openly discussed, and it seems like it's nice to hear them put that argument to bed. Now, a lot of content creators are shitting all over this without hesitation. And Dave Filoni did it again, and he's ruining Star Wars. The plan between the plot
between Dave Filoni and Kathleen Kennedy is real.
Dave Filoni continues. When you look at the original trilogy, it is much less significant amount of time that those three movies take place in. And so what I like is that we're really building very slowly an ecosystem of characters and politics and events in the post-Return of the Jedi time period. And that may or may not expand in a bigger way as we add more shows to it and add more characters to it. So this is kind of some of the stuff we've been talking about for a while, right? Is that, you know, is that basically I can't do it. You guys gotta switch. Is
I
that
don't understand.
basically all of these shows and movies are all timed out to one another in the end.
And there's so much room, man. I'm just gonna say it. I need like all the young Luke Skywalker stuff. They're holding out on us. They got Shamook in there. I hope fans would be open to a younger Ben Solo, not Adam Driver, like 13, 14 years old, going on these adventures with Luke to Jedi temples, discovering things about the Force that we don't know. Like,
and then watching the
Luke
Snoke
knows so
play,
much that we don't know.
right?
And the more that we know that Luke knows, it's going to also help influence people's feelings about the decisions he made later in life.
Well,
I feel like a lot of people still aren't convinced enough that, you know, he should have taken that path.
Well, you get the Snoke manipulation also.
Yeah.
Right? You start to
Yep.
see and hear what Snoke is telling him and what he's showing him, right? And I think seeing a younger Snoke would be interesting, right? To see that arc is fun for me, just because I don't hate the sequels and everything associated to them. So it's, but it's the slow story. It's the slow storytelling that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are building here. It's not an overnight, here's an entire season on Netflix, have a great time. Right? They're really thinking about what they're doing. So let's see what else is there in here. Dave Filoni confirms a Mandalorian time frame goes all the way to episode 7. Filoni then
Really?
yeah, I mean, that's what they're saying. Filoni went on to reveal how he attempts to keep track of everything happening within the Star Wars timeline. The good thing is that we're all talking creatively together about where these stories are all going. And I love whiteboards, and I whiteboard everything, and I have timelines. There's they always start back with the Phantom Menace, and they go all the way up through the Rise of Skywalker. I have all these slots in between where everybody's doing everything. So I can look at it all. And what is that? And yeah, I mean, and then talk to Kathy about it. It's very fun. So basically, you know, he's talking about this in a fun, long storytelling arc, right? Is what he's building here. And there's a lot of time there. He has ton. That's why there's a 2-year gap, 1 to 2 year gap while Grogu's gone. Why? Because he can. He's got the space.
Yeah, he's just making space to come.
He's like,
down.
oh, it's been a year or two. We're good. It's been a couple years. Grogu learned a bunch of shit. We don't need to see the learning process. Grogu learned a bunch of shit. We got to.
Do you think it was one-on-one? You think it was one-on-one for the year or two? Is there?
It sounds like it.
Do you think other people? You think other people showed up? I mean, they were building temples.
I mean, I still don't think this, like, what he said here doesn't necessarily discount what he said a couple of weeks ago about this story going in a different direction. Like, not to say that if it's going to discount it crossing over with the sequels, but it's not necessarily doing that. Like, until bro actually says something to the effect of, we need Mando and the Mythosaur storyline to be with Snoke or whatever the fuck First Order, whatever goes on in the sequels, then it's like they're still, you know,
but I don't think
in that aspect.
Right. But I think we've already seen remnants of that.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already seen the Snoke clones. We've already seen the DNA manipulation and the Pershing stuff, right? Like all of that, the theme song for Snoke happening in the background. I mean, they're throwing these pearls out there and these breadcrumbs for us to follow already. If they don't lead to the sequels, or put those stories in the time frame, not necessarily talk about Snoke. Snoke doesn't need to be the bad guy in Mando.
Right.
We've already got another story happening, but to finish off the Pershing cloning arc, you see the DNA manipulation, how they made Palpatine's new body, right? How it just wasn't, one bit of clone. It was a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And you see that, right? But that Pershing story needed to close, and they gave us so much in that little bit of time. It was 30 minutes, but in the grand scheme of things, that 30 minutes gave us what could lead to the start of Snoke and the start of the First Order, and these little breadcrumbs that could be told in other stories. Skeleton Crew could tell more about Snoke, right? We don't know really what that story is going to be about, other than there's a teacher with some younglings.
Well, yeah, you're right in that they could in other medium, but Skeleton Crew, I think, is right for new storytelling opportunities, like the New Beyond and the Force Thrawn's new Force Ghost Army. That is some wild shit. Like, I don't necessarily see that as a thing to cross over necessarily with the First Order, but since they all inhabit the same universe,
right?
And it's like, yeah, we can see those stories, just not in that.
Well, and they're just breadcrumbs to us now, because they may have a story that tells that story that they're going to show us in 5 years or something.
Right.
Like we don't know where they're going to put this stuff in the timeline. But like he said, I've got a huge whiteboard. It starts here, it ends here. There's a little bit of stuff here and there, but I can do whatever I want in this space. I don't have to touch this, and I don't have to touch this.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be like the MCU where every little thing has to connect.
And this little space in the middle of the OT is kind of treasure, so I can only pull little stuffs from this. But there's this big space, and then there's this big space. Like, he's got room to play with these stories, and that's exactly what this article talks about. Him and John sit in rooms with a whiteboard and some dry erase markers that probably smell like blueberries, and they go up and they're writing and erasing shit and making this. Oh, look, we just created this show, so here it plugs in. You know what I mean? They're doing all of this storytelling over this long period of time, and we're not going to get it all right away. It's going to take time.
Probably smell more like snozberries, though.
I hope it tastes like snozberries.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, I understand the gripe. Well, I shouldn't have to watch other content to understand this content. Well, then watch something else. Go watch Lord of the Rings. Go watch House of the Dragon. Go watch some Game of Thrones, because that'll disappoint you also. Right? So it's like, if you don't want to watch other stuff to understand what's happening, I mean, that's why people have Disney Plus. It's like, oh, I can watch this other show that has something to do with this. And if you look at Disney Plus, there's a whole section that's like, hey, want to catch up on some Mandalorian shit? Here's 4 episodes of Rebels. That's just Mandalorian shit. Here's 6 episodes of Clone Wars. That's just Mandalorian shit. Right? You don't want to watch all the other stuff? Don't. Here's just this slice of pie just for you. So you can get caught up on those backstories and have a little more context, right? It just feels like there's a lot of hating going on for no reason, as usual. And this episode, I want to talk about the biggest thing I heard about hate this week was little Grogu.
Oh yeah,
jumping around and whooping some foundling ass with his 3 little whistling bird darts.
Yep.
Got a lot of people pissed off.
So, chat.
Who got mad?
Didn't I tell you Grogu and his son was going to fight?
You did. You absolutely did.
Oh yeah, actually, you called that.
Yes, sir. I'm 3 for 3 on the thing. I got.
Now, here's the thing. A lot of people got upset. Why was it? And chat, help me out here. Why was it okay for Grogu to hop on rocks and dodge a training droid with Luke, but not okay for him to use the same ability when training whistling bird paintball darts in a foundling battle?
Who got mad?
Oh, there's a lot of people.
I saw some people complaining about the CGI.
There are a lot of
him jumping over the head of the kid.
I don't understand people complaining about CGI
Go
like a fantasy show.
off. I'm sick.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same tech they're using when he's hopping along next to Luke and everybody's crying about how cute he is.
Yeah, I mean, it's the
same
text,
shit.
the same move, it's the same
Yeah.
thing, the same thing. Hoppity hop over the shoulder, hoppity hop backwards. Like, it was cool when Luke was training him to do it, but all of a sudden he uses it in real world applications, and the whole fandom is like,
Oh my god, this is so lame.
Just think about.
I believe he did that.
Think about saying out loud, like, this little green gremlin guy doesn't look realistic enough for me. What?
Yeah, when you break it down like that, I mean,
the CGI wasn't good enough for him. The effects could. What? What are we talking about?
Look, I mean, I
guess they'll have to try harder next time now.
This little green gremlin wizard did not look realistic enough.
Yeah, I mean, and then there was people were also complaining that the way the Mandalorians were training was not correct. And I'm like, well, okay, hold on, time out. Number one, we've never seen Mandalorian training. No, first and foremost, we've never seen a covert of Mandalorians actually training anything in any timeline, in any Mandalorian storyline.
Nothing in the Clone Wars. They didn't show any little.
All you saw was Death
background.
No, all you saw was like full-grown adult Death Watchers, right? You had no training going on. So the first time we see a covert training some shit like our youngling, our foundling that was practicing the way of the Phoenix and learning how to jetpack, this little dude, or
that was cool.
They were training darts that were paintball, the whistling birds, that was awesome, or whether they were just wrestling or shooting blasters, whatever it was. Apparently they had to be like ninjas in old kung fu movies and all be lined up and like hi-ya together in one formation at a time, right? And that's it, right? You got to do it like they have to be trained a certain way. And I was like, who gives a shit how they're training what?
Right.
Who gives a shit? We're finally getting something cool and you're sitting here God, it's so righteous, dude.
To Grogu, he can't talk like that yet.
Oh. Well, and I do love that. I love that Grogu understands. Like, he doesn't speak, but he understands everything.
Yeah.
Like Din looks at him and he's like, dude, whoop his ass.
Tighten up.
Right? Whoop his ass. And what does he do? He whoops his ass. But my point is that he understands, he knows, he's learned all of this stuff, and he's putting it to use. And the fandom is just finding stuff to cry about. And maybe it's just the creators that want the clicks. I don't know.
I mean, why was Ragnar hitting him one dart at a time, though?
Because Ragnar was like, he's like 4 inches tall. Oh my God, I could step on this dude.
So end it quick, you know?
He didn't know that was a part of the rules. Apparently. He didn't know he could do that.
Come on.
Vizsla kids suck.
When he first shot those 3 shots, I was like, you cheating little shit.
I mean, it's probably
like,
what Ragnar
this
thought
other
too.
kid's shooting one dart at a time, and he's just like, da, da, da.
Wait, I think he more wanted to prove a point, right? I think Ragnar more wanted to prove like he doesn't belong here, right? So I'm gonna make it painfully slow, right? I think that's kind of how I took it, is that he was like, it's almost like whooping his ass in the yard, so to speak. Like, you're doing it in front of everybody. It's slow and it's punishment and it's degrading. And Grogu was like, oh, I could do that. And he whistling bird his ass just like his dad throws all his whistling birds at one time, So I loved it. I thought the Bo-Katan putting the little armrest thing was like, you just sold 1 billion toys. Put a little dart shooter on Grogu on one of these little plush dolls, and you just sold $1 billion worth of toys.
On talking about kids, do you think like they're just making the Mandalorians take a ton of L's at this place they're living at just to prove like they need to go back to Mandalore?
Yeah.
Like what?
Yep.
Like what are we doing here? Like, we
Yeah.
got like the sea is attacking you, the air is attacking you.
Yep.
All we need next is some tremors. Like Kevin Bacon
Exactly what
showing
it is. I think it's leading them to go off world. I think it's 100% like, hey, I got a call from a friend. He needs some help. Let's go. And now they all start to follow Din Djarin.
I say it's nothing but natural disasters and fuck all going on where they're at right now. It's like,
yeah, who picked this planet?
I mean, they're about to tame some dragons. I don't know if you remember that or not.
Bro, I don't know
you
if you
mean
remember.
those little bird? You mean there are three new?
Hell yeah, they're about to be riding those, bro.
Yeah, not before
Why
it ate one of
keep
their
them?
own already. Like,
Yeah.
foundling already eaten by one of these dragons.
Oh no, they're raising those. They're
Several.
riding those.
Apparently, this
for
is
sure.
a regular occurrence on this planet. They've lost several.
Oh,
I got-
Lenny, he was gone last week. They do this
We
every
always
time.
run out of gas on the way to get the younglings. It's like,
Just
then why do you
Listen, hold on. They're eating turtle soup. They're taming these 3 things. Like, they're not worried about any of this stuff you're worried about.
Next thing you know, we're going to see bird-sized Mando helmets for those guys.
There you go, bro. Look, it's.
They can't say the creed.
I do like. I would rather.
The creed doesn't get spoken unless you know.
Yo, they're just dunking them in the water.
Here's a helmet.
This is the way. Yeah.
You did call
my
them
God.
foundlings.
You just gave me the perfect idea for a short.
Do it.
Do
Do it.
Do it.
And the cold open ones I used to do. Oh my
Yeah. Do
God,
it, bro.
an amazing idea.
But yeah, I mean, look, it's definitely. I think that's definitely part of what takes them to Navarro to start. Right. I think that's, we see the whole covert going and fighting some pirates. I think this is the opportunity that they've been looking for. Now they have a leader, right? Din Djarin, by all other intents and purposes, is now their leader with the Darksaber, right? And he may get challenged again before they go off world, but in all intents and purposes, Bo-Katan respects him enough to give him back the Darksaber, knowing she can't just take it from him, even though he almost drowned. Right? She's got to win it.
That was before she was redeemed.
Again, correct, right? So
way before she even thought it was possible.
I think this is a great opportunity for them to follow Din into battle and then eventually go back to Mandalore.
Who are they battling?
About
They
to say,
beat pirates up that came after. They got what was it?
They don't care about
State.
them. And the rumor is they're gonna be in whatchamacallit.
We saw that scene in the trailer. That's the only. There's only 2 scenes we haven't seen from the trailers. The Mandos on Navarro, including Paz Vizsla, and we haven't seen the Mandalorian starfighter flying into the green Mandalorian civilization. Those are the only 2 scenes from the trailers we haven't seen. So we know that the Mandalorians are going back to Navarro to battle those pirates. Whatever seaweed face was, I don't remember his name.
Oh man, you think?
Well, yeah, because
gonna come back with like a full army of pirates.
Yeah, I do. Because Din got away, and he's definitely going. He was in the sector, so he's definitely going back to take care of Navarro, and so that's why we see the Mandalorians come in, because we're probably going to see in this week's episode a message from our friend Grief, Kargas. Did I get that right? Kargas?
Karga.
Mm-hmm.
Apollo.
Apollo, right.
Yeah.
So Apollo's going to call Joel from Last of Us and be like, Joel, we need help. And then all of the Mandalorians are going to go with Din Djarin. That's when we're going to see. In fact, there's another scene we haven't seen is the Mandos dropping out of the ship. We're going to have Bo-Katan flying that ship onto Navarro and dropping Mandalorians down on the pirates. And we're going to see Paz Vizsla going and messing some people up.
There's a poster going around that hints at Boba Fett coming back or something.
I love that. Please.
They'll need them. They only have 2 ships, and one of them fits 2 people, or 1 1/4.
Well, we don't know what the Mandalorians have, because they had to get the foundry and everything from one planet to the next whenever they move the covert. So they do have some vessel that we have.
Took that space bus,
But do they have a vessel that can fit 3 humongous large beaked birds?
Apparently, those Mandalorian starfighters are humongous inside. It's like the Harry Potter spell where
They walked off Bo's ship.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
Apparently,
yeah, right.
right. So they have Bo's ship, they got Din's ship, and
Kind of,
then
sort of, yeah.
they could have other Mandalorian starfighters like Bo's. We don't know yet.
Right.
So
Also, Stanley brings up a good point too about the armor believing Bo-Katan about the myth story. Yeah, I hate that she just downplays the fuck out of that.
Well, she doesn't really believe her. I don't think.
That's what I hate. Like, why don't you believe her?
Because it's been 1,000 years.
The armor's kind of something that starts with a capital K. I don't know if you realize.
The other thing too is like we don't know the trust. We don't know the trust these guys have between each other. The armorer could know more than we think.
Of course she does. I think she knows that she just don't want no one else to know. She's trying to take over as ruler too.
Think about how terrible a leader this is, right? Like, first off, terrible choice in planets to live on.
Yeah.
She's let her whole convert be destroyed like twice, right? It was down to 2 people 2 times. And then also preventing her whole community from having oral sex. So there
you see followers. Followers all don't necessarily make the brightest choices.
Well, look, and that's the thing, but that's also an underlining tone in the show that I enjoy, is that they are reckless and they are not organized and they are without leadership, and that's where Din Djarin, the Aragon of the Mandalorian universe, the reluctant king, is here. He doesn't want to lead. He doesn't want that fucking Darksaber. He tries to give that bitch away, and he can't give it to nobody, right? It's like having too much money. You can't give money away when you have a lot of money because you just make more money somehow, right? He can't get rid of it. So he's a reluctant leader. He's not even confident in his own self, let alone raising a youngling, a foundling, let alone leading an entire civilization.
I mean, imagine if somebody that had wielded it for years was like, "Hey, why don't I help train you with that?"
We don't know that that's not coming. We could have a Sabine Ezra moment in this show.
like Bo, you know, what? Or hey, Bo, you looked pretty good with that. How'd you do that?
You know, I just don't see how my boy who's still struggling with that thing can lead.
Because it's not about the saber. It has nothing to do with the saber. The weight of the saber, the crystal is connecting to the person. It has nothing to do with the lightsaber itself and the weight of the metal or anything, right? The reason Bo-Katan can wield that thing is because she did it for years. She trained.
Yeah, she's built a relationship, a connection with it.
That she can pick it up and wield it. It's the same thing as our dude Moff Gideon. Moff Gideon's like wielding it like no big deal because he's confident. Din Djarin is not confident in himself as
he needs a better teacher.
Exactly.
He needs a better. I totally agree. But in this moment, even Paz Vizsla has this stress of being a Vizsla, right? And when he yields it, it's like picking up a 50-pound sledgehammer.
Also, none of the episodes have ended on Din, bro. They've all ended on Bo. Every single one has ended on her and her thought process. And why do we need to know that? Because she is gearing up to be.
I think it's more gearing up to her becoming a believer.
I'm sorry.
Right? Every episode we've seen her talk about before she bathes in the waters of Mandalore, in the living waters. What was she doing the entire time that we hear her talk about Mandalore? Right? Oh well, we didn't really believe this. I swore the creed in front of everybody because it was expected of me and the people loved it, right? Then she reads the placard in the living waters and she's almost, hold on, let me give you the dime tour. Come here, let me read this to you, right? It's a joke to her until she goes in the waters and sees the mythosaur. And then she's doesn't take her helmet off. And then she's redeemed by and part of the covert now, right? It's showing that she is becoming a believer in this culture. And
she hasn't really said much, though. I will say.
Yeah.
So the last 3 episodes, right? We get Bo knows grief, Bo knows Darksaber. And in this episode, Bo knows Mythosaur.
Yeah.
Oh no,
It's like an 80s commercial, right?
no.
Like,
Bo knows, bro. There's another great short for you.
Oh knows, man.
Take some of that old footage from the Bo knows commercial and then pop her in there with a couple different.
Yo,
There you go.
please,
Please make that
please.
short, my guy. If you don't make it, I'm making it tomorrow. If you don't make it,
I've got no
I'll
ambition.
find that
to
old
go for
footage.
it.
Bo knows. Bo knows
Awesome.
the Darksaber. Bo knows. Oh, dude, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Look, but really, I think this is for me showing her becoming part of the covert, becoming part of Death Watch again. For me, I feel like that's the story arc that they're following with her, not so much that they're bringing her into being the bad guy. I think that's what a lot of people are expecting right now is for Bo-Katan to really become the big bad of the season. Not,
But I don't think she'll be big bad in the sense that like she's gonna be pushing people out. I just think that she believes she's the best leader for Mandalore,
And they set it up
and she'll do what she
at
and
the
she'll
end of
do
the
what she
last
needs.
season.
well, but maybe she's the only, maybe that's just it, is for so long she's believed that she's the only one that can do this. And then she starts becoming part of this covert, realizing maybe I'm not the one. Maybe it's not meant to be me. Right. I mean, this is a person who was royalty. Right. I mean, she was basically a royal. And it's hard to let go of that sometimes.
I don't think you start slapping Mythosaur crests on your shoulder. You don't think it's your show, you know?
That part.
I think it's more buying into. I think it's more buying in than selling out. I really do. I think it's more buying into the culture than trying to rule and take it all. I could be wrong. I would love. Like I said, from Jump Street, if Bo's going to do it, it's going to be at the end of the cinematic thing, and she's going to gut him from behind and say mine. Like that's my dream ending. If you guys want to go Bo dark, that's my dream ending. Play along until the last chip falls, and then gut him from the top, like fillet that dude.
Yeah.
Right here, right below, and just just gut him, just all the way through, and then take the Darksaber, cut his head off, and then hold it up. That I mean, if you want, I want her to go full on. Like
it sounds like you don't want this to happen actually, because they're never going to do that.
I would love for it to happen,
but I think we got a better chance if Dinbo does Dallas. You know,
I
like,
think, yeah,
that's
I really do think that it's going to be
Dallas
of her finally finding a place she fits in. That's what it feels like to me, right? At the end of the hunting mission, what did she say? Well, this is the highest honor of our creed, is rescuing a foundling, right? Every time she does something with these people, she is rewarded for her bravery and for her leadership, but her bravery above all else. And I think that's what they're setting up, is that she is becoming a believer.
You really think though we're gonna get, like, spoiler alert, like it's been out for a year or two, Christopher Lloyd is gonna be in this season. I said it. You think we're getting that dude with his helmet off or on? So what happens when they meet his tribe and they're like, yeah, I don't know what's wrong with you guys.
I mean, at that point, like Bo said, show him the Darksaber and everyone bends the knee.
You'd be like, great Scott.
Like that's
your helmet.
that's really it. I mean, I feel like, look, she even said it.
Darksaber is pretty much it.
The Darksaber doesn't.
How do you pass up all that pleasure to keep your helmet on? I don't understand.
You're all disappointed that the oral sex is off the table.
You can turn the lights off though, right?
I mean, that's the thing. Can you turn the lights off and then take your helmet off if you can't see each other?
I'm pretty sure you can.
Because then it's like, then you're using their hand.
Someone said earlier, who's baby mama of Ragnar? I mean, that had to happen somehow.
Did they keep the helmet on?
You really think
that guy didn't just stop being a Mandalorian
whatsoever, bro?
He's a Vizsla. That's all he says is
he's a broke ass Vizsla.
All right, listen. Maybe because
that's it.
Maybe because they know where the living waters are, right? They can just be redeemed. You know what I mean?
So they get redeemed.
We're just gonna repopulate, and then everyone gets redeemed.
Bro, I'm just saying it's been like at least 5 years since anybody got redeemed. It's too long of a time. I don't.
We saw a bunch of youngling Mando foundlings, and they came from somewhere, so they've been redeeming a lot.
Well, I mean,
they found them. They're called foundlings.
Yeah, not all of them.
That's the thing too. Like,
you know,
he's calling
exactly
him dad, but but we don't really know if that's his actual dad. He is calling him dad, but
en route to Savage Land, like the worst place you could possibly live, we're like, oh, plucking up that little kid. Oh, you don't got a mom and dad? Oh, you're my son. No.
Man, Pa's been doing a whole lot of plucking in the galaxy.
Well, I mean, just saving. I mean, foundlings are not necessarily stolen; they're more safe, right? I mean, you see Din Djarin get saved. His parents got blown up. Maybe we could have still Ezra Bridger's parents be Din Djarin's dad. Whatever. There's some people on that train, but ultimately, like to Din Djarin and to the Mandalorians, his parents were dead. They found a kid with no family. They took him in. That seems to be more of the idea of foundlings than snatching little kids up. That's Palpatine's game.
That's the Jedi's game.
And that's the Jedi's game, right? That's Force users. Force users take babies. Mandalorians find them.
I mean,
that's it. You know, I mean,
technically, Din took that baby.
He didn't have a family. He had no family.
He had no parents. Though.
He had no parents.
Or return him, and he didn't twice.
Well, he did. He gave him to him, but then he took him back.
Then he went and got him back, and then he gave him up to Jedi, and then he went and gave him a vest, and then took him back.
I mean, he's trying. You know, he's trying to be a good dad.
A little manipulative, though. Just a little.
There you go, Din Djarin Bridger.
All day, every day.
That's the school of thought right now. So, with that, we see a lot of younglings. We see a lot of young Mandalorians. Going on to the next, I don't think the armorer will be going with us to Navarro, per se. If anything, it'll be more of an attack party than the whole covert going somewhere, because they're not going to take the kids. They're not going to take the blacksmith, the smithy stuff. It seems like soldiers are going to Navarro to help in a battle situation. It's not a migration.
Din Bridger? What the hell are we talking about?
Oh, so you haven't heard this? You haven't heard this? We can get into this. You haven't heard this?
Heard the
so there are people like Sheev, specifically Sheev, and others that are very much of the school that Din Djarin's parents, maybe the father didn't die, and that he relocated to Lothal after that whole thing, and that he is actually Ezra Bridger's father with a new mother.
It ain't just she, bro. It's him, me, Dawn, pretty much everybody in the fandom on this chat right now. And,
I was unaware.
Yeah.
First off,
were you unaware of this?
I didn't know everybody was on board like that.
There's a lot of these guys.
Okay.
A lot of
respect.
We out here.
Hey.
We out
here.
Pedro looks probably older than Ezra is right now, so it's scratch it. It's not.
Well, that's the way they're playing it. Is that Ezra Din Djarin was lost.
Oh, you're saying
Din is the older brother, and that Ezra is the younger brother. That Ezra's dad and Din Djarin's dad are the same.
But mainly because the dad is like a splitting image of Ezra's father when you put them side by side. And that the actor also said that they chose me because I look like a character. So when you put 1 and 2, then you get 3.
Pedro said that?
No.
The actor that
played Din Djarin's father in the first season of The Mandalorian. That's what they're saying. People are saying that Din Djarin
things are afoot.
Are half brothers, basically.
Okay.
That the mother died on by battle droids, and that Din Djarin's father lived. And that Dan left, and then Din Djarin's father married somebody else, and that was Ezra's mother, and they had Ezra.
Crazy.
Which means that Ezra's mom is the one that has the Force.
No. Okay.
Or not.
Interesting.
Or not.
So yeah, it's that's a thing. That's a thing that's hopping around the communities right now. There's a lot of Sheev and Dan and all those guys. Those guys are on that train, and that's cool. Look, I would love to see something cool happen like that. But and it would be cool if maybe Cal Kestis, Everybody meets in this cinematic, and they're like, "Oh, do you know you two are brothers?"
Oh, all 17 of you Jedi are alive? I thought we all died.
No, there's gonna be some deaths. See, okay, so that's another point I want to get to. We're at the top. We're getting to the top of the hour. So with
because that was another thing people are saying.
With this, the Jedi in particular, the Grogus, the Cal Kestises, the Ezra Bridgers, the Ahsoka Tanos, there seem to be a lot of Jedi alive after Yoda says, "Oh, the last of the Jedi will you be?"
But he lived in a fucking hut.
But at the same, but he could also, he felt Kanan, he felt Ezra, he felt Ahsoka when they were in the Jedi Temple. He actually could be seen by them the second time they went to Lothal, the temple on Lothal. So Yoda was able to sense many Jedi through the galaxy. But I think when he says this at the end of Return of the Jedi, in the middle of Return of the Jedi, he's more talking about trained by the Council Jedi. Fully trained.
George Lucas just never knew they'd make anything else.
Even so, but at the same time, you can look at it from a certain point of view. Is that Kanan wasn't a fully trained Jedi? He was a self-taught Jedi by the end. Ezra, same thing. Yeah, he had a master, but his master was not a proper Jedi. Ahsoka's no Jedi. She left the council. She's made it clear. Cal Kestis, another broken, Thrawn says it best. The Jedi are scattered, untrained, young people like yourself, Force users. They're not really Jedi. And that's kind of more I see Yoda's words still hold true, is that Luke is the last truly trained Jedi by Yoda's standards. The rest of them, a Jedi Knight, exactly. Not just a Padawan, not just a Padawan. He was knighted. Yes, Kanan was knighted by the Force in a temple by a Force ghost of somebody he killed. Whatever, you call it what you want. Ezra was never really knighted. Ahsoka left. Cal Kestis is never really knighted, right? We see him in this new story. Maybe Seer knights him.
Yeah, it's like they have to go through the trials to become a Jedi Knight.
That's what I'm saying. There's no trials, even though they accomplish all these things and they do all these things. They're not really Jedi by the standards of the Council.
To be a master, they have to teach someone to become the Jedi Knight.
Exactly, right?
That's why Anakin's technically never a master.
Well, yeah, because his Padawan left. She didn't become the rank of knight. Exactly, right? So I feel like Yoda's statement is still holds true. He's telling him, pass on what you've learned. Knight other people. Knight your sister. Train your sister. Train more. Find younglings. Pass on what you've learned. That's why he fucks with him in the sequels. He's like, dude, what did I tell you? Pass on what you've learned. You failed more than anybody I know. And you're still here.
It's like the one good part of that movie.
So it's my favorite part. Yoda in the sequels is my favorite part of the entire sequel trilogy. He's fucking hilarious.
Yep.
He's like literally laughing at Luke going, damn, I missed you. You're so easy to screw with, right? Like I love Yoda's, the way he is in the sequels, but really I feel like his statement holds true because there's no knighted Jedi. There's no Jedi that went through the trials. There's no by the will of the
I like that.
They're young, scattered kids, scared kids. Even Kanan, and even until the bitter end, he was still afraid to be found out, right? Until he found Ezra. He's like, oh, I'm about to let the big secret out, right? It's just an interesting way to look at it. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, man.
Yoda's statement isn't true anymore, guys. It's just not.
And I love it because I look at it this way. And maybe, maybe one day Dave or John or George Lucas will come out and say I'm full of shit. But I like that direction much more because it keeps everything still balanced out between the OT, the new, the prequels and the sequels. Everything still stays balanced.
That means Yoda couldn't feel Kellerman Beck or Quinlan Voss.
If Kellerman Beck was still alive at that point. I mean, and Quinlan, maybe, by the time Yoda's dead, is he still alive, because Ben Kenobi, when we see it in Kenobi is still alive. That is many years before Yoda dies. Quinlan could have got in that time, or turned to the dark side, which means he's no longer a Jedi, much like Seer, right? There's another example. Well, she was a Jedi. Well, no, but she turned. She kind of even tells Cal, I'm not a Jedi anymore. So
I'm really interested to like see what people like her are up to that aren't using the Force to like fight against anything, but she's on a higher level, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of like Ahsoka. I feel like Ahsoka spent years in a dark temple learning the dark side, about the dark side, but not turning to the dark side. So she's got this different interpretation of the Force than everybody else, right? You see the difference in Ahsoka when she's on Malachor and her only being defensive and not wanting to hurt anybody. But then you see her in the Mando season and she has no remorse about cutting people in half. Right? It's a very different mindset pre and post Empire for her. So it's, again, for me, it just holds that true. Chat, put a 1 in the chat if you agree with me. If it's if Yoda's perceiving things from that point of view, or 2, if I'm just full of shit and Dave Filoni ruined everything George Lucas did. So feel free to put it up there.
Little green menace of a failure.
It's it.
It just made another Yoda to rewrite all the failure and mistakes that he made with the first Yoda.
That's absolutely it.
Just to make us forget all about Yoda.
Biggest failure in the galaxy, Yoda.
Twice. Now the High Republic's here. He failed twice.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, the Jedi all get killed twice. How do you survive?
There's a theory
going back to that.
There's a theory of thought out in the universe that Yoda was not the shining beacon of hope that everybody thinks he was during the High Republic time, and that the reason he survived is because he either sold out other people or that he turned himself, and then once everyone was dead, restarted the Order in his vision.
That'd be freaking nuts. But I mean, this guy, the survivor in the video game, is gonna, I think, tell us some secrets, some deep secrets that I agree. Probably stuff that's pre-Yoda's time on the Republic.
If you get over to the Matt Cave, I love his glass. Everything tastes so much better in Matt Cave's glass.
What did he send in it?
A point.
First guy.
It's constantly lined with scotch. So anything you pour in there, no, I'm just joking. It's a great mug. I love his mug. But yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of Yoda. There's a lot of Yoda that could be coming with the High Republic stuff. We could get to see another side of Yoda as a younger.
I'd love to see the young Yoda.
A younger Yoda.
Seeing it right now.
Mid 600s ish.
Like 50.
Yes.
Well, I mean, look, I mean, this whole timeline right now is just a lot of fun. I mean, yeah, they're giving us something different, man. This is something I think a lot of us have been yearning for, in that we want Mando stories.
There was something I was going to say about a spin-off like Skeleton Crew that can open up. Oh, I heard a thing that like this is what I heard. The school that is on Navarro could be Jude Law's school, and he's like on a trip with those kids currently and something kind of crazy happens, and the crazy thing that happens is all tied into like the greater Mandoverse, and that's why they're like not there anymore or something.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
that'd be cool if that school's connected to
these are definitely all stories, Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew, and the Mandalorian, that are happening in this gap, whether it's 5 years, 10 years post Empire. There's still a lot of room to play with. There's still a lot of time in there, a good 20 years of storytelling. So that story could happen a little bit further forward. The Ahsoka, it seems like Ahsoka is going to be happening during this Mando time period. So it's not so much going to be a surprise, but they've got a lot of time to fill in. I think it's great that, this story in itself has taken 6-7 years already.
Yeah. That's crazy to think about.
Post Empire. I mean, not total storytelling. But in
like from where it started.
Yeah, post Empire, I think it's like 7 years, right? Because it started at the 5-year mark, right? Ish. We were 5 years post Empire,
My
and then
chat's gonna correct me if I say something wrong, so I'm scared.
and then it's 2 years. So we're like year 7 and 8. One of the greatest shows ever until the last season. Lost.
The lotto tickets there.
Lost.
Lost.
Oh,
Never seen it.
Oh, great show until the last season.
That's what I heard. So like they're not bringing it back. No spinoff, no revival.
I would love it, but the way that show ended was real whack.
Really?
And pretty abrupt.
And pretty awful.
Pretty definitive.
It was really fun.
It was a change.
Well, the same thing happened with Dexter, and they brought it back.
I would love to see them do something, but I think a lot of the I think
the hype is gone.
Yeah, they kind of
one of these things they got to leave alone.
They kind of slammed their hand in the door.
Oh, so it's like it's that bad, huh? No, beyond the
the way that they finished it off is like
it's like sequel bad.
It's like it's pretty awful.
It should have gone right, and they went left.
There was some really cool, dude. There was some really good time travel shit going on in that, in that story in that show, Lost Show. There was some great time travel shit. There was some crazy, fun stuff that was going on, like finding polar bears in the Sahara Desert and all kinds of crazy shit. But and the time travel and the space time continuum and all that stuff was a lot of fun. And then the last season, they literally phoned it in. It was the worst. It was so bad. Then they went all religious, and I was like, "Oh, you all suck."
I'm going to add that to my shows to watch. Now
you should. The first 2-3 seasons are fire, and you're like, "What the hell am I watching?"
I'm on like 15 different shows right now, and I just added How to Get Away with Murder up there.
Oh, dude, yeah, that one's deep. I couldn't take it after. I couldn't take it after the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I've created a monster because when I went upstairs to make mac and cheese, my wife was cooking Elio's pizza and watching Andor.
Oh.
All right.
It's a good show.
She's catching up on everything. Like she's seen almost every show.
It's a Jason Bourne style show. It feels very Jason Bourne.
Oh, fuck, dude. Insidious 5 is casting in my city right now, and I said that I was going to be in this movie.
Oh,
do it. Do it.
Oh.
So let's see. Yeah, Lost was great until the end. JJ sucks at endings. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I'm not gonna say that JJ did a great ending.
Yeah. JJ. It was JJ's fault.
It was JJ's fault.
JJ.
But it was a JJ show, and it
like his Star Trek movies.
He sucks at endings. His Star Treks are awesome. I love the JJ Star Treks, dude.
Yeah.
Like, no lie. I was not a big Trekkie, but those movies were fire. And the new Khan was amazing. Like, that dude was
Strange Khan.
Yeah, he was Cumberbatch. Oh, dude. I was blown away. I was like, that's an awesome twisted Khan. And I love the old Spock, new Spock talks, and like, just the whole thing was fantastic. Like, it was great. But again,
wasn't the Spock the guy from Heroes?
Yeah,
Siler.
Yes, but then they also had Leonard Nimoy. In it also as another. It was so good, dude. He did such a good job with it. But I haven't seen Picard yet. I've heard it's really good. I'm going to wait until the Star Wars stuff is over, and then I'll binge it.
All right.
They're saying you can jump into season 3 without watching the first 2 seasons.
Have Star Wars of them.
There's like a shitload of Star Trek, I feel like, content out there. Like there's animated Star Trek stuff.
And the new Voyager with girl from The Walking Dead.
Yeah, there's 5 different shows right now, and then there's the one with.
Oh, there's like another Walking Dead.
But that's how Star Trek always was. There was Deep Space Nine, there was Next Generation, there was Voyager, there were always like 4 or 5 Star Treks happening at one time or another.
I just know about Kirk and Make It So. Yeah.
Well, I mean that's very the same argument with original trilogy or sequel or prequels, right? It's like original movies or Picard or Kirk, right?
Yeah.
But next generation over old, like there's so many same arguments that go on with our shit that goes on there. They just have more shows and movies at one time throughout time to argue about and to make their shit make sense. So that's the big difference between, I feel like, between Star Trek and Star Wars, is that they had so much more content at one point than the Star Wars community did. So over the course of time, there's always been something Star Trek somewhere, whether animation, next gen, whatever, all Deep Space Voyager 1, 2, 3, whatever they're doing. But back to this, what do we think for next episode? Where are we going?
Honestly, if they're not going to liberate that school with pirates, I don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah,
it's still following Grogu, right? Flashbacks.
I mean, I hope we get another flashback. I think he's got to witness some armor being made to hear that chime to clear those flashbacks, right?
Say.
Yeah. Who knew that a clack of the helmet can trigger traumatizing?
Well, I mean, did we see a Bo-Katan flashback at all when she was getting her shit made?
Did we?
I don't think we did.
No.
So maybe she just didn't have any dark memories.
She was talking to her. What did she say? She said that the Forge shows you your whatever.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it. The mythosaur. I mean, they were talking.
They were just talking about the mythosaur. That's right.
That was for Grogu when she was talking about the Forge will show you things, and you'll see visions and stuff. But I mean, so you made an interesting point I think on Wednesday, you made a good point about Bo looking like Din the first season with the new pauldron.
Mm-hmm.
With the rest of his armor. When Din gets his down payment for Grogu, he gives him one piece of Beskar that they make a pauldron for Din Djarin on his right shoulder. They make the same shoulder for Bo-Katan. So now she has all of her blue armor, but then she's got this one just Beskar, raw Beskar pauldron on her shoulder. And it looks like Din in the first season. She could have we just saw her paint a helmet. She could have easily painted it blue,
right,
and not been a thing, but
chose not to.
I agree with Hawks. We were talking last week that I think that's very significant, and I think that goes more to her buying into her new way of thinking more than the old ways. I think that's just like a piece of her armor is reflecting kind of how she feels in this new environment. I don't think she's ever felt appreciated like this, even when she was a leader.
I don't like it. Take the damn helmets off. Like, live freely. Somebody's got to bring this armor down.
I wonder if she gains control, if she'll change that.
Like, even when she was on her high horse in season 2, she wasn't down with the way Din was living. And I guess living with them for a couple of weeks could change her perspective on certain things, but she was quick to take that helmet off when she had some alone time. Like, I don't, to be buying into something like that this late in the game, bro, is just...
Well, I mean, but what is the definition of insanity? Right? The definition of insanity is repeating the same course of action over and over and expecting a different result. Right? That's insanity 101. She's been doing the same song and dance for 20 years. And where's it got her? Alone in her own castle.
I'm going to argue that it's the Darksaber's fault.
I mean,
that her obsession with wanting to possess it, honestly, like if it's a Kyber crystal and it's sentient, we don't know what it does to the wielder. We know that you have to build a connection with it, and the more of a connection you build with it, the lighter it becomes. Like, it's not just becoming light. I think it's like connecting itself. Blade? It's connecting itself to the person, right? She's not necessarily being corrupted, but
she has a new obsession with the mythosaur, though.
Well, I think but that's what I'm saying is that for her entire life, right? her adult life, her sister rules, and her way of life is wrong, right? And then everybody goes into hiding, and then
Bro, and yes,
they're fighting the Empire.
the insanity is
She took that
building.
helmet off.
They blew up her castle. Like the insanity is building. It's not going
It ain't
away.
no-
Like yeah, she's ready to pop, I think.
I just feel like she has been doing things way for so long, and now this is the first time that she's tried it another way, and it's working. Right? It's not. I don't think it's intentional on her
So
part.
it's not that a raptor stole your foundling. It's that you got the foundling back.
Right. Yeah. Wait a minute. Isn't anybody on Airwatch? I'm sorry. Isn't anybody watching the skies or the water? They don't got nobody on patrol. Like nobody's watching anything. But look,
It's not the fact that your baptism.
Whoa.
I just feel like this is the first time I feel for her that she's trying it another way and everything's working out. Right. She goes to rescue the kid. They give her praise. Right. She bathes in the water inadvertently. They give her praise. Right. She's just doing what she always does, and she's getting appreciated. I just think
Padlock's dog right now.
I just think she's buying in. I just think that she's getting treated a different way for a change. They don't care that she's a princess. Right.
They found a way to get the straw from the Kool-Aid up her helmet.
That's it. She's just gotta get a straw, and then she can. But I don't know, man. It just seems to me her whole arc this season has been more about just accepting the way things are as they are. This is
we haven't seen the last of Sasha Banks. She's coming back too.
Oh, I agree.
I'm ready for her to speak. You know what I mean? She really has been of few words.
Yeah, unless Boba Fett's involved, and then she'll throw it on.
True.
Well, no, you were talking about Sasha, or you were talking about Sasha. I think he was talking about Bo, or was I wrong?
We're talking about.
I'm talking about no.
There, that's what I'm saying. You guys are talking about different people.
Thank you.
See, what I'm trying to figure out is like we got a reason for them to go back to Navarro, hypothetically. What reason do we have for them to like meet up with these other Mandalorians?
The trip back to Mandalore.
So you think
round them up?
I think once
thinks Lloyd is a Mando. You think?
Yeah.
The word is he's like a chieftain or something.
Because I thought
it's not even a spoiler at this point. They've been talking about it for like a year. So.
Yeah.
I thought the rumor was he was like the OG dark saber wielder.
Talking about Gar Saxon?
Yeah. No. The first
Tar Vizsla?
Not Finn and not Tar Vizsla, him. Yeah.
I would be awesome if he was like a flashback Tar Vizsla. That would be dope. I would love all of that.
Hell yeah.
But I mean, regardless, Bo-Katan was foreshadowing Din Djarin, having the dark saber, and that they'll follow you around anywhere. Wave that thing around, and they will basically bend the knee. And I think that's more of what's coming. Is at this point, this covert is going to accept Din as their leader, and then it's time to put the Mandalorians back together. I think that's how the season ends, is that it's time to put the Mandalorians back together.
Where do they go? If they're all hunky-dory back together. And they're there right now?
They got to go back to Mandalore.
I'm pretty sure.
Think they're there right now?
I feel like that's going to happen before the season ends. We're going to unite all the clans before, and we're going to get into some other shit before the season.
I think, look, everybody was talking about like who's the big bad of the season. Does every season have to have a big bad?
Bo-Katan.
Does every season have to have a bad guy? Does this show require a bad guy?
Oh yeah, Moff Gideon.
Yeah, I think we do need to get him. But did we not get we didn't even get the big Darksaber reveal, right? Until he cut himself out of his ship. So Maybe we get some other like,
But the big bad at this point is
badass Gideon showing up in the last episode.
the big bad in season 1 was the remnants of the Empire, right? That was the big bad in the whole first season. The big bad guy was
Was Gideon, right?
We
everybody's
met them episode 1.
everybody's coming for Grogu and the Empire. The Imperial remnants are the bad guys in season 1. Season 2, we get Moff Gideon, and he is the constant bad guy. So do we really
Agreed.
need a bad guy in this season at all? Or can we see the big bad guy at the season finale like they did in season 1 and lead that into the next season, into the other shows?
We saw
Right.
Moff Gideon at the end
Of season 1.
I feel like to give
Final
the show to give the show some damn legs and to put it in gear, you need like a driving force. Because not to say that like this season is different than the other 2 seasons, because like you had Mando on a mission to get Grogu to a destination, and now it's like they're just together going on adventures, and it's like another Saturday morning cartoon.
Well, but he's not it's not like they're sidekicks going on adventures. I mean, he's on a mission, still on a big mission.
What's
right?
What is that mission?
Well, I mean, the initial mission of the season was to get redeemed.
We're in an elevator. I'm running out of
Right.
time.
So the first arc of the season,
You already ran out the elevator, the door closed.
right?
I left.
That's the first
Done.
arc of the season. I mean, we don't need a bad guy to continue this story of the Mandalorian.
So you're saying your argument is we didn't have a big bad until the end, right? True.
Of season 1.
But we had the guys under the big bad, episode 1. The Imperial remnants
Right,
were
but
working
this
for Gideon.
show is also called The Mandalorian.
I got
right?
you. I'm just saying I need.
But
Where
do you
are we
need
going? Should I start singing Dave Matthews?
We're going Game of Thrones, and Dawn's saying it too. Like it's the Mandalorian conflict that's coming.
right?
I'm not all that mad at it, but it's just like, all right.
There'll be a conflict
It's a
within the
little off,
Mandalorians.
Well, I mean, we've already we've already seen the first part of this season's arc was about getting redeemed, getting back to Mandalore, finding out it's not poison, getting redeemed. Then we get redeemed. That was an episode ago, right? That was basically not last episode, but that was the previous episode was the redeem episode. Then we see how the Mandalorians are living day to day, right? We're getting training. We have a dragon. We see her making some armor for a couple different people. This is how the Mandalorians are living. I think they're showing how they're disorganized, how they're kind of still shattered and broken. Din continues to say this statement. Our people are scattered and broken, right? This season is more, for me, looking at it, this is more about the reunification of the Mandalorians. More than it is needing a bad guy. They're telling stories of how these clans are going to come back together. There's more internal divide than there needs to be a big bad. And at the end of the season, we'll see where we're going to go. But we didn't have this in the first season. We had Grogu and Din on missions every week.
And they still haven't visited the other.
What the hell Charlie just said.
He hasn't visited the other planets in the Mandalore system either. So he pointed out his home world. We haven't gone there. We don't know if there's Mandalorian tribes there, you know?
Charlie got some of that man cave scotch, I think.
Yeah.
Before he wrote that.
Let's see. I see Big Bad Wolf with 3 little pigs.
Which one of us is the wolf?
Jackson to be in like, oh wow. It's like reading an eye chart.
This is when I did a double take where you're talking like, what the hell was that?
You know when you're voice typing and like it doubles up sometimes?
Maybe.
But look, I mean, I am not disappointed in the season at all. I think this has been a really fun season to watch. And I think a lot of people are just expecting a bad guy.
It's been fun. I'm starting to get to the point where it's like, all right, give me the direction. Give me the compass.
Yeah, I don't want this to turn into Bad Batch. I need direction. Finn Rao is coming, yeah, but that's like not till episode 7.
What's the next episode called?
Fuck if I know.
I think we're gonna be building up some. I think we're gonna be building up Bo-Katan's armor and Grogu's armor, and we're gonna get some flashbacks. So I think you guys should hang on for a little bit.
What about Grogu's armor?
I'm leaving. I'm just saying, like, I'm starting to get that itch for.
What was
Scotty,
that?
what we got to give me a seatbelt to hang on to, bro? Like, what are we doing?
What was that little thing called?
It's called a rondel.
A rondel.
It's called a rondel. Yeah. Usually it's for like the shoulder area of the armor. Like it covers basically your armpit from being stabbed. And it was pretty massive. I don't know if she thinks he's gonna grow into that or if he's gonna use it as like a shield or what. But
that was for his armpit? I thought it was for his chest.
No, but he's so
that's
small.
where she put it, but what she called it
under your main breastplate.
The piece of armor that she called it, yeah.
Cauldron right here to protect
I was very confused.
your heart and your lungs, right?
Yeah.
Won't do a purpose, you know.
But Grogu's so tiny. I'm like, he needs that. He needs to use that like an Iron Man shield. He's got the Force. Like, throw it in the air and that thing starts wicking around the room like a boomerang.
She only had the mudhorn fabrication in that size. She didn't have enough time to make the smaller mudhorn symbol. She's like, you'll never tell. They won't be able to tell it's a mudhorn. We got to make it bigger.
That's hilarious. It was humongous. I was like, where does it even, how does it even attach?
Now we can see the mudhorn.
I hope Beskar is light, man.
I know, and it like makes all these like electronic sounds too. There's like circuitry behind it. I'm very interested.
What's in there? What's in that little thing?
I think if the other rumors are true about what Grogu's gonna get, I think it's gonna apply to this other
his
suit
IG 88 suit. Is that what we're talking?
Yeah, hell yeah.
That bullshit.
Dude, wire that in there. Yep.
That bullshit.
Have that shit like a belt buckle, bro. You're just gonna have a mudhorn belt buckle.
The Iron Man armor, yes.
Iron Man. It's gonna be like,
oh my god, dude.
I am Grogu.
Fans are literally gonna shit. Fans are gonna
be
shit.
41-minute episode.
41 minutes. Yeah.
Directed by Peter Ramsey and written by Favreau.
Do they have a title for it or no?
Probably gives it away.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, and their titles this season have been real big double entendres too. They've really been rope-a-doping you with the titles, right? You think?
I don't think Apollo Creed was supposed to tell us the title of last week's episode.
Did he let that slip? Oh my god!
Got a little too excited.
What have you done?
Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes they're excited about. Did he direct that one? Was that his episode?
Yeah, it was his.
Now
he got hyped. They let him go.
He tweeted it.
Is it true that we're gonna get a Bryce Dallas Howard episode?
I would love that. Yes.
I would expect.
Yeah, I would hope so.
And even let the girl make a damn movie. Stop playing.
I don't know, man. I think I would rather see her to continue to direct these episode by episode, or maybe give her own season of a show. But
I see how it is. Just keep her down.
We can't let people move on up.
Keep her in her place. Obsession.
I think that she is a fantastic short content director, and I think putting the entire franchise's movie hopes on a young director is a dangerous thing to do. I think we need to.
Why have faith?
I have tons of faith in her and Deborah Chow.
I know, like Marvels with the Eternals.
But
keep Deborah Chow the fuck away from me.
I think Deborah Chow should direct
Deborah Chow's name.
I know it's all right. I know how much you guys like Kenobi. Come on, man.
Keep my Chow's name out.
I know how much you guys like Kenobi, man. Come on, Kenobi was fantastic.
Kenobi's name out your fucking mouth, Obsession.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie. I liked it until the final battle.
Shit, I like the story. I just hate how it was shot.
Yeah, just the way that it ended. It's like, yo, Vader's in my head. Vader had to think he was dead for it to make sense overall.
Yeah, I have my own issues with Kenobi. There's a lot of
he's not supposed to win that fight outright like that. Otherwise, why do we need another Hope? Kenobi's the Hope. He's doing all the Hope stuff. What are we doing?
She's
We're
just
gonna wait
doing all
another
the
10
Hope
years
stuff.
when this guy's just massacring whoever he
He
wants
kept
to?
all the hope for himself.
Nah,
This dude's clearly a god. Why are we waiting for somebody else to come along? Don't understand. Oh, I'm just gonna go hide in a hut in a cave now.
if anything, Maul could have been the Hope until Ahsoka fucked it up with the whole. Because if the Hope is to kill Vader, then anyone could have been that person. You know,
you don't need to kill Vader. You need to kill Palpys.
Oh, Papa Palps is the end all be all.
Well, I mean, that's just it. Is
If you strike me down,
you can't
Add
really
to
can't
that,
kill him. Can't kill him.
dude literally left the path with a bunch of Force sensitives. He could have trained him. He could have started the whole new Jedi Academy right there. And you had Vader off their scent. You could have caught back up with him later. Started a whole new group of Jedi. Like, what are we doing?
He's on a bigger mission. It's not about
What
for
is
him.
bigger than that?
Luke is more important than everything.
That's the whole ball game.
True. The chosen one prophecy.
Luke is more important as the chosen one than anything else, and that was my largest problem with the show.
Yeah.
Is that
family?
I'm about Leia. Like, that little Leia was dope. A character I really enjoyed. The actress, I really enjoyed her character and her snarkiness. She exude Carrie in a lot of moments. I could see her as a young Carrie Fisher. I really enjoyed that portion of the show. However, for me, leaving Luke is what really damaged me on the show. It wasn't Vader. It wasn't any of that other stuff. It was abandoning your post. That was my biggest issue. That was it.
I think they could have cured it by Vader just straight up actually killing Reva, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And then all Kenobi had to do was to get them off their scent. So you need to stall them because Dummy went and fought him alone, right? And needed a ride to get out of there.
Well,
so
I don't
you could have literally had a similar fight.
But Vader,
here's
the thing I enjoyed. Vader was fallible, right? Just like with the battle with Ahsoka, Vader is not the Anakin they remember, number one. Right? So, like, for me, that whole this Vader is different than Anakin. And Ahsoka tried to play nice and not really hurt him. Right? She really pulled her punches during that fight scene on Malachor. And at the end of this, Kenobi, his whole thing is confidence, right? He lost Anakin. He failed. He's this giant failure in his own mind. And so his Force abilities suffer through that whole experience. But at the end, he becomes who Alec Guinness was. He becomes this new man, right? He finds the spark of himself at the end of it, which is fine. But for me, leaving your post was like, Luke had to get kidnapped for me, for him to leave. Right?
And Alec Guinness is technically the same one in Rebels who takes out Maul in like 4 moves.
Right.
Alec Guinness, it would have just killed Vader there. He wouldn't have walked away and left him there.
Well, no, I disagree because Maul was a true enemy.
Didn't Anakin come out too?
And Maul was a true enemy for a long time, was a thorn in his side. He thought he killed him a couple times. He was that cockroach that kept coming back, and he literally threatened Luke's life.
But that's the only reason Obi-Wan had to end Maul, because if Maul didn't mention anything about Luke, he was trying to let bro go.
He was trying to let bro go.
Yeah.
Right? He was like, I'm not doing this again, dude. No one wins here. Right? You've been suffering. I've been suffering. No one wins here.
That was crazy.
And then he mentions Luke, not even by name. You're here protecting someone. All right. Mm-hmm. I tried to let you go. Let's dance. Right? With Vader didn't possess a threat to Luke. And honestly, that was his son, man. Anakin was like his boy. That was his boy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah, he left him for dead on Mustafar, but he didn't strike the final blow. He didn't walk over and
how do you win the Star Wars? How do you win them?
Vader was not defeating Vader doesn't win the Star Wars. Vader won the Star Wars. Anakin won the Star Wars in the end. He's the one who killed Palpatine, right? He fulfilled his place.
Anakin got fucked over in the Star Wars. He didn't
Seems
win.
to me
He
that
still won.
that wise little green gremlin said all
Apparently he's
throughout
still
the
fighting.
first trilogy, if you can't confront your father, then a Jedi will never be.
Right, and he did.
Well, Obi-Wan did that twice. Both times, let him live.
Well, but again, it's his boy. I mean, like it's just like Vader pulling his punches.
True.
It's just like Vader pulling his punches against Luke, right? He
How many
wasn't
people
really.
died because Obi-Wan couldn't finish him?
I mean,
Hit him.
yes.
Obi-Wan
He
is
could've-
Batman.
Like I said, he could have legit executed Anakin right there.
You
Took his whole new school of Jedi that literally
He
filled
see
the
Jesus.
shuttle.
But that
taught them
doesn't
to be
win
an
the
army
war.
and took out Palpatine.
That doesn't win the war, though. That only puts a spotlight on him and the rest of the kids, and then they are eradicated.
The kids
Like,
are already gone.
he
They
has
don't
to
know where
walk
they're at.
away. He has to leave Vader there. He has no choice, because if he kills him, it gets worse. It gets infinitely worse. Because then he's got a whole bunch of Force younglings with him. He's got to set up camp somewhere, and the Empire at this point is everywhere.
he could have took Luke to Cal's school in the New Beyond or the Safe Haven, wherever that is.
See, I think that just puts him in danger. The whole point of Kenobi was to keep that kid safe.
But the Empire don't know where it's at, right? So how could it be in danger?
I mean,
Just
you don't know
crazy.
that a large group of people and Palpatine can feel a large group of Force users. We don't know.
Palpatine could give at this point a fuck less about the Jedi. He's trying to enter the world between worlds. He's trying to do other shit like
We're going
become
down
a
rabbit
hero.
holes I can't keep up with.
Like
Well,
what
I mean,
I
look.
wanted out of that fight, the way you could have fixed that, still have that epic scene where he slices part of his helmet off, and they have that dialogue. But instead of the rocks like being on top of Obi-Wan being in the middle of that fight, make that the end and make Vader walk away thinking he's dead.
Well, and I do like the Darth dig. Not a
Yeah.
lot of people got it.
Yeah.
I do like the Darth dig. I do like the Kenobi's walking away, and that Vader is still obsessed with Kenobi. Even though he can't find him, after that, he's still frothing at the mouth for him, right? And he's got it. He's trying to find him and kill him forever. The Emperor even says, "Hey, dude, maybe you need to stop this. This is distracting to you. This is stupid. You need to come focus on what needs to be focused on, right? And leave the past behind you." Kenobi, I mean, that Darth dig was perfect because that's exactly what we hear in A New Hope, right? He doesn't say Anakin at all. He's like, "Hello, Darth." Right? It's such a great dig. There's so many good things in that show. And yeah, for me, there's a lot of fuck ups.
I was also secretly hoping he would steal an Inquisitor lightsaber and then just helicopter away.
Oh, stop it. Oh, you stop it.
Like the edge of a cliff, theaters are 60s.
I think we're gonna get plenty of that in Ahsoka. Don't worry about it. We're gonna get a lot of that in Ahsoka. I really want the umbrella lightsaber attachment from Vision.
Yes.
I want to see that in action. If you really want to go Mary Poppins with it.
I want Jason Syndulla to pop up so bad. Like,
well, I mean, we may get that in Ahsoka.
Right? Or he could be one of the Skeleton Crew kids. Like
on the Ghost, I mean, he is Kanan's son, so the likelihood of him being Force sensitive is very, very, very possible. He could be one of the kids in Skeleton Crew. We could see him in on the Ghost in Ahsoka too. That's very possible, right? It would be really awesome to see Ahsoka just saber training, right?
And then we find out that Hera had other kids like Janin Syndulla and Anakin Syndulla and all that good jazz.
Sure. She could have had other baby daddies. We don't got to. Star Wars is
I mean, had a whole litter.
It's okay for Din Djarin's dad to meet a new woman and have as Ezra.
Hera's been alone for a long time, so
I lost tentacles everywhere, whipping around.
Yo, Twilight cut their hair back and forth. Yo,
I mean, are we going to see Ahsoka in this episode of Mando though? Is that because I did hear rumors that we might see her in this season.
I ain't trusting Rosario Dawson were shit. She was just excited to watch the episode.
That could be your future Rangers show.
What, Rangers
Yeah.
of the New Rangers?
Harrison Dua leading them.
I mean, I feel like that kind of
True.
went away with when Gina went away.
Who?
Yeah. Basically, I mean, I think that I've said it before. I feel like
Hashtag
Dave-
flawless as a what's her face?
well, you know, everybody's talking about, oh, they're going to recast Kara. Oh, they're going to recast. They're going to recast. I feel like Dave and John did a really good job, leaving the door open.
Yeah,
I know everybody says she'll never come back. She'll never come back to Disney. She'll never come back and do Star Wars. But I also feel like Dave and John still left the window open instead of just outright recasting her and putting her in the scene. They basically said she's off on a special mission for the New Republic, right? And left the door open to maybe, you never know what time and circumstance will do, but maybe
They said my boss is up for an election soon. Things might calm down after that.
Right? You never know, man. And so I just feel like, look, I know everybody says now, and I know even she says, fuck Disney, fuck Star Wars, fuck them all, fuck Hollywood, you know, viva la resistance, whatever it is. But time and circumstance sometimes change people's perspective and change people's minds. There was a time when John Boyega said, fuck Star Wars, fuck Disney, never again. Daisy said the same thing. These people are now looking to be potentially on board for potential sequel to sequels movies. So never sometimes shows up. Never sometimes is a time. So I feel like Dave and John did a really good job just leaving the door open. Saying, look, we're not going to recast her. We're not going to kill her. She's not dead. She's just off on a special mission. And I feel like that just leaves the opportunity open for Gina to say, hey, I'm interested in the character, right? I'm not interested in the bullshit, but maybe the character can come back.
Not that she's just no longer with us.
Yeah, not that she's just dead, right? I mean, they didn't recast her. I was hearing rumors that the actress that played, oh, what the hell was Lieutenant Biscuits?
Oh yeah, everybody, dude.
Was potentially saying that she could replace Gina as Cara Dune, and obviously that was false. So it just seems like
People are obnoxious.
the door
It's
is
like anytime. I said this on Twitter. I don't know if a lot of people saw it, but like I feel bad for celebrities when fandoms use their love for this person to literally in the most disgusting ways throw shots at the other side. Like, and there's literally no limit on Twitter. Like, this girl's flexing. She's flexing like in the picture, right? And they're like, you know, toxic as fuck.
Bro, my favorite one was what was it? They're like you traded in this for that, right? It was a trade for Gina for this for Lieutenant Biscuits.
Yeah.
Look, I'm a fan of the actress. I'm a fan of the character, and I do hope maybe they can work out some shit one day in a couple years. Maybe the circumstances work out right, but I think Dave and John did the right thing in not killing the character, not writing the character off, not you know, recasting the character. I feel like that was a good move. Chat, please, you know, put out what you think about it, but I think that's something smart that they're doing in this season. Is they're not, you know, just killing characters and recasting, and I think fans hate that more than just not seeing the character on screen.
Yeah, at least give it an end note or a period where it can continue, a ... you know.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of because I know Favreau loves Gina. I know he loves her work from Haywire to some of the other roles that she was in. So I know he's a big fan. And I know that he would love for her to come back and do this, I'm sure. So you never know. Circumstances change. People's minds and perspectives change. We never know what the universe was going to bring us. But I thought that was a smart move in this season. I'm so far, I think this season has been a banger. I know everybody's a little confused as to where we're going and what we're doing and how we're going to get there because we don't have enough ships. They don't have a bus. They don't have the van. They don't have the Razor Crest anymore. They don't have the school mom van anymore. So I'm curious, where we're gonna go, but I feel like this season, for me, is just as palpable as the first.
All right, big predictions. I think we're gonna see Bo-Katan's people that are out there being mercenaries. I think now that she's redeemed, I think that's her next call to action are people who actually supported her before all the bullshit happened. So her hidden fleet or whatever.
Now, are they
He
gonna?
was like, "Where's your fleet?"
Is there going to be some Mando on Mando crime though this episode?
Oh
Because-
yeah.
I think some stuff's gonna go down, man. I think it's all building up.
Yeah, I think because someone else in the comments said the big bad in the show can be internal conflict
Mhm.
between the
That was
different
gone.
groups and shit. So I think we're going to see a lot of that. I
Mhm.
anticipate the return of Corky. I anticipate the return of fucking what's his name that's coming back, the rebel actor, Riz Friga Dune Raw shitface, whatever the fuck, astronaut ears. Y'all know if y'all.
Oh yeah,
don't-
him.
yeah, that guy. Yeah, he'll be back, and Mandalore action. Yes, the retake of Mandalore is not.
Yeah, it seems like we could potentially see some
Finn Rau's his name.
Finn Rau, there you go. Some Mandalorian on Mandalorian crime, just in the fact that what happens when Bo's old crew realize that she's part of one of those Mandalorians. What happens when her old squad realizes she's basically one of them now. The
Who's she
cult.
probably gonna be talking to? The sea crocodile? Like, the raptor tell them? What the hell?
You don't know her connections.
No, I mean, look, she was, she already mentioned that they're out there being mercenaries. Guns for hire. Could the scene on Navarro maybe have those guns for hire with the Pirate King Seaweed?
Mhm.
Could he have hired those guns, and then there's Mandalorians on Mandalorians fighting Navarro?
I would love for Hondo to lead those pirates.
That's what I'm thinking. Anytime you say pirates, like, come on, man.
Yes.
I mean, I still want Johnny Depp to play Hondo Ohnaka.
Yeah. Yep.
You
Hands
know
down.
how to play a pirate. Now just play a space pirate. Come on, my guy. You played a wizard. Let's do it.
If
When
we're
you
to bring
sheets
him
and
back,
put the pirate hat back on.
Jerry Buckheimer actually wants him back for Pirates 12, so it's possible that if he's
12.
back. However many pirate movies there are now, bro.
Not that many.
Man, just Pirates 6, goddammit. Yeah.
No, those movies had their moment. I just watched those a lot.
I
mean, seeing Johnny Depp play Grindelwald in the prequels to the Harry Potter in the Wizarding World, I just would love to see him bring back that Hondo Ohnaka swagger that Johnny Depp brings to the set, brings to the movie. Like it would just be so fitting to have him in all that makeup and to not even know it's him, right? Like I would love for Star Wars to not even announce it. Don't tell anybody until you see it in the credits. You're like, man, Hondo was great. Oh shit, that was Johnny Depp. No wonder it was great.
And that's the thing, bro. I'll leave it at this when it comes to Hondo Ohnaka. With the complaining of the week-to-week bullshit going on in Bad Batch and a little bit in Mando with the sidekicks, Mando and Grogu. Wrong place, wrong time, Disney. That shit is good for Hondo Ohnaka show. I would love to see a pirate show where he's just plundering and pillaging different parsecs of the galaxy and just fucking around. If you want to bullshit, do it in the Hondo Ohnaka show.
I want to see him team up with the Ghost Crew to go find Ezra.
Oh,
and he loves that boy.
This little pig guy.
His Ognot. Yeah, I mean, look, I would love to see Hondo in live action. I think that's a winner all around. It's just like Jar Jar. It's just like these other characters that we see and that we love. It's like to not use them in this timeline and make him old as fuck. Make him old and crusty and slow him down a little bit, right? Like he doesn't have to be that young Hondo Ohnaka we saw in the Clone Wars or Rebels.
In Clone Wars, he was kind of a jerk, and then they recycled him perfectly in Rebels.
Well, yeah, I mean, in Clone Wars, he is literally like the Republic doesn't do shit that the Empire does. So he could be a ruthless scoundrel because what are they going to do? Arrest him? Ooh, put me in jail. The Empire will shoot you in the face. Right? There's a huge difference. So I feel like in the Clone Wars, every time we see him, he's like fucking with Anakin or fucking with Ahsoka or like he's always like fucking with the wrong people. But in Rebels, he's like, oh man, I love those Jedi. Oh, how I miss the Jedi, right? Like,
well, that's the thing, man. If we do see Hondo again, like, I want to see him with a new crew with different alien species. Like, I want him back on top of his shit, respect the captain.
You want to know my ultimate dream scene with Hondo is rescuing that young Jedi that he named his ship after.
Oh yes.
And like he's like, I told you could join my crew whenever you want. Come, yeah. Jedi, come, right? Like I would love to see
Jabba the Hutt.
Jabba? No, not Ezra. But yeah, I would love what was her name? It started with a K.
Sniffles, because she got allergies.
Talking about another Jedi?
Well, yeah, she'll die at some point. They all die.
That's one.
That's what would make it so much better if he's with the crew that finds Ezra. It's like, oh, the Jedi. I miss the Jedi.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
I don't know if Johnny Depp's got the. I mean,
about to say
racist if he's using that accent.
Don't you knock my Johnny Depp, bro. Don't knock Johnny. Johnny Depp can play anything. If he played a wizard in the wizarding world, he can play anything.
I want him
to talking like that though. Like,
yeah, dude, it'd be great.
Man, do not make that man do a Jim Cumming impression. I'd rather see him just bring his Jack Sparrow.
Saying that's the whole world full of problems. Yeah, I'm talking like that.
I don't know, man.
It's not going to go the way you think.
Yeah. Okay, Jake.
Okay, Jake. Cool.
White guy from New Zealand talking like that.
Oh yeah, let's end it on a sequels quote. Let's go.
Right? I am actually. So what do you guys got going on? Oh, by the way, you sound fantastic with your whole situation going on. So I didn't even miss a beat. So you sound great.
You hear the heater right now?
Huh?
You hear the heater right now?
Do I have a heater? No, it's nice.
No, do you hear mine?
No.
Hey, we fixed it.
What do you guys got going on? I know Shiva's got a watch party tomorrow. I quit doing Tuesdays. We're now doing This Is the Way Wednesdays, and where we'll basically after action report that shit and talk about it day of. But what do you guys got going on this week?
So I've actually been getting caught up on Transformers stop motions. So I've been real hyped off that. Right now I'm watching the Beast Wars Interstellar one by TFI Creations. So I'll be doing that tonight, and when I get off work, I'll probably be doing that again tomorrow. So stop motions all week, baby.
Motion dope. I wish they'd bring back Celebrity Deathmatch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, yeah.
In today's climate, it would be the perfect show to do. But
yes, it would.
Hawks, are you doing anything this week? Are you doing Tarkov Tuesdays tomorrow?
Potentially, yeah. We're gonna be getting into some Tarkov. It's been so long since I played. I need to again. Dude.
But yeah, we do some competitive gaming over my channel, so come through.
Yeah, Tarkov Tuesdays is a thing. That's another reason I came off the Tuesdays, because he's like, yo, I'm doing Tarkov Tuesdays. I'm like, cool, I'm moving to Wednesdays after Matt Cave.
Let's go.
So yeah, we're gonna
got a little schedule going.
Yeah, dude. Want to give everybody space to be great.
I've been successful like the last 3 Star Wars shows. Again, Sheev and Santa to show up at 8 p.m. night of the finale. So we're trying that for Wednesday. I don't know if I got their attention yet though.
Nice.
Nice. Let's go.
Yeah, dude. I mean, getting Santa on stream late is awesome.
Fun.
Yeah, it's really awesome. I enjoy it thoroughly when he's at the nighttime streams.
Usually down. We'll see. I just gotta wait. I'm just trying to get him to remember.
Yeah, and then Matt Cave is doing Way Back Wednesdays. So he's over there with his retro news and his gaming news, which is a lot of fun. I'm a big fan of his merch, so I think if these guys have merch, you should go over there and get yourself some merch. But yeah, man, get over to Hawks' channel on Tuesdays. Check out Nerd Mafia. and make sure to check out Dan the Man. We were talking about maybe you having an audition soon, so good luck on trying to get that audition in your town.
Thank you, man.
Being
Yeah.
casted for Hondo.
Oh, Dan the Man is Hondo Naka.
Oh, I'm actually going to start a campaign. So anybody that's on Twitter, I'm gonna tweet Samuel L. Jackson every single day from now until he answers me. I heard this shit works, so I'm gonna do it. Every single day I'm gonna tweet Samuel L. Jackson. So if you're on Twitter, please retweet and like all my Samuel L. Jackson tweets. I tried this with Ashley Eckstein and EK Johnson, and it did not work. But I hear that if you bug Samuel L. Jackson enough, he will reply to your tweets. So I'm going to every day I'm going to send the same tweet with the same head, basically the same tweet saying, "Will you please do the voice for my short that I'm making of the future of Mace Windu?" And I'm going to see if he'll come in and do some voice acting for Dan the Man, so Dan the Man can play Mace Windu, and then we can voice act Samuel L. Jackson's voiceover. So,
God.
I'm going to aggressively pursue this. I'm currently looking for my Space Jesus right now. I haven't found a Space Jesus yet, but I'm looking for somebody with that Kenobi do and that Kenobi beard, that very Jesus look. I mean, I don't got it for sure, but I'm looking for Space Jesus so that I can put in some cloaks.
Fox got a third of it.
Can't we just throw a beard on Charlie? I'm sure he'll be happy to do it.
We could, but he would make a smashing Anakin. He wouldn't make a great Kenobi. He'd make a smashing Anakin.
Yeah.
But yeah, I need a Space Jesus like real bad so that we can shoot. We can get Dan out to Vegas and go do some some pre-production stills, some pre-production shots just to kind of frame stuff up and see how we like it. Maybe pre-production testing with some long lenses and some lightsabers in the desert. See how that's going to work out with the lighting. So yeah, but I'm going to aggressively stalk Samuel L. Jackson on Twitter. I just want him to do some VO work for me to just put that Mace Windu character to life that Dan's going to portray. So that's my new mission. If you guys see any tweets from me on Twitter, please retweet them to all of your friends and family and everybody, because I want Samuel L. Jackson to get so tired of seeing the same tweet in his inbox getting retweeted and everybody's seen it. I want to make it trend, because God, how cool would it be to have him say,
I'm sure it'll work.
Those lines. It will definitely not work, but we're going to try it anyway.
Might even make time and location just so I can randomly show up and
it'll be in the deserts of Tatooine, right next to Maul's grave. He'll have a big fire pit right next to Maul's grave because he's going to talk to Maul a lot about his failures and stuff, kind of like he'd be talking to Qui-Gon. So yeah, I got a fun little deep story that we're going to tell, and I'm trying to write the script, and I have friends that are helping me out. But yeah, we are.
You don't have Casper Qui-Gon in there?
No, I don't think so. I think this is going to be more of a Maul Mace Kenobi thing, more than anything, right?
Got a great idea too. If Sam Jackson never replies to you, try to get Dave Chappelle.
Yes, absolutely. Or if we could get Sam Witwer to come and voice Maul, that would be amazing.
Sure, they all say yes. They just say write the check.
Oh, dude, if they all say yes, bro, I'm gonna have to actually get my better half to do work and try to get this shit cleared so that
could actually get the brother that played Kenobi in the Kenobi fan film a while back.
That's what I'm saying. I'm looking, and
Jamie Costa.
And if people are interested or know people, send them my way. But yeah, I am looking for a Space Jesus, and we are going to stalk Samuel L. Jackson and Ewan McGregor relentlessly, probably in the same tweet, just to screw with them.
We're gonna get Ewan back now. Huh?
No, you know why I'm gonna tweet? I'm gonna tag Ewan. I'm gonna tag Ewan. You want to know why? And this is how we're gonna close the show. I'm tagging Ewan because I want this to be season 2 of Kenobi. I want this to be the inspiration for season 2 of Kenobi. I want them to see this fan film. It may be 5 minutes long, It may be 2 minutes long. I don't know how long it's going to be. It's not going to be anything like Star Wars Theory that he did like a huge fan film. We're not going to do that shit. This is going to be very small, but I'm looking to make this the inspiration to Kenobi Season 2 and Mace Windu finding Kenobi and Luke on Tatooine and coming for young Luke Skywalker. That's why we're doing this. So everybody, thank you for coming by. We've been at our 2-hour mark. I'm going to let these guys get out of here. As always, don't forget, get out there, spay and neuter your pets, help control the pet population, be kind to your friends and family. Always make sure that you tell them what they mean to you, because you never know what tomorrow brings. Thank you guys for being here. Thank my, Sheev, Dan, Hawks, Nerd Mafia. You guys are the shit. You guys for coming in. Throw a like, get over to these guys' channels and subscribe. And thank you for being here. Have a great night. And may the